Job Hunting
101.
Providing you with the tools you need in your job search. Job Hunting
101.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Utilizing Social Media and Job Hunting. My name is Katie Leahy, and I work for Tampa Bay Workforce Alliance as the Marketing Coordinator of Social Media. I have with me today Julie and Dan. I'll give you both a second to introduce yourselves. Julie?
I'm Julie McAdoo, and I'm here representing Project Transition USA. We are a nonprofit that teaches LinkedIn workshops to transitioning military, veterans, and the dependents of military members in an effort to help them use it as an effective strategy for their job search.
Great. Dan?
Well, I'm Dan Sherman, author of the book Maximum Success with LinkedIn, a McGraw-Hill book that came out this past January. I have a training company called Link Success. I help people use LinkedIn to find work or to increase their sales or to increase their marketing efforts worldwide and just grow their influence around the world.
Great. Well, thank you so much, you both, for being here today. And I know it's going to be really helpful for our job seekers because I know some of them have probably embraced social media, but some of them probably have not. And it's kind of an overwhelming subject and something that not everyone has embraced as much. So I'd like to start off our discussion with just a brief, what are these social media sites that job seekers can use and should be utilizing? Julie?
Well, definitely LinkedIn would be at the top of my list. That's where the professionals go to hang out. That is where the people that are putting forth their best persona and professional, looking for their careers, are networking. I think it's somewhere in the 90 percentile range of recruiters are using LinkedIn to find their candidates. But I do see a lot of success of people getting leads off of Facebook as well.
Well, obviously I'm biased. I think everybody should be on LinkedIn if you're looking for work. Keep in mind that professionals will create their own profile. So the best way to find a job is to talk to people who have jobs. And all the people who are professional and have jobs are on LinkedIn. So it's a great place to connect with them and say, hey, what's up at your company? Let's have a talk.
Yeah, completely agree. And one of the classes we have at Tampa Bay Workforce Alliance and at WorkNet Pinellas is a social media class, and we focus a lot on LinkedIn. So I definitely agree LinkedIn is kind of, the professional networking site. It's where you should be, as well as Facebook and even Twitter. But as far as LinkedIn goes, to get started, some people already have a profile and some people don't. But setting up that profile is very key, especially if you're going to be using LinkedIn to look for a job and connecting with employers. So, Dan, let's start with you. What makes a great LinkedIn profile?
Well, first you got to start with a great headshot. And so many people I work with will have cut maybe a picture out of a vacation picture. And what I tell them is that your picture is what you dress up to for an interview. Your LinkedIn profile is kind of like an interview, the entire thing. And so the picture has to have you as if you're going to an interview, whatever your best clothes are, okay? Because I tell people that you'll get paid in proportion to how well you look in your picture. That's kind of my rule of thumb. So you got to look great, and you got to fill out your profile 100%. And LinkedIn has a little gradient where they'll tell you you're at 50, you're at 75. Go for 100. Fill it out 100%, so that really creates a really good image for you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. And I think LinkedIn even has changed recently where now it's not even based on like the percentage of your profile is complete, but now it's like you're a beginner, you're an intermediate, you're an expert, or all-star. So everybody wants to be the all-star now.
Right, and less than 50% of people fill out their profile completely.
Yeah.
So you're already ahead of half of the people on LinkedIn if you actually fill out your entire profile. And that doesn't mean that every section that is possible to fill out on LinkedIn should be filled out. If you don't have videos, they're not going to ding you for not having videos. Those are great little enhancements. But just getting the summary, the work experience, any awards, your skills, all of those are very important. And then I would add, the headshot is very important as well, as Dan said, but keywords, knowing what the people in your industry are searching for when they're going and searching for people such as yourself, knowing what keywords they're using, make sure they're in your profile. Don't call yourself something that nobody else would call it, so that's very important as well.
Yeah, and then making sure that you have a great headline too, correct? Because that's how a lot of people are going to find you and you know, even the endorsements help, and making sure that you have skills and you're endorsing people for other skills. Hopefully they'll return the favor and endorse you. So there's a lot of ways that LinkedIn can be used and help you in your job search.
Your headline should really tell people what you're going to do for the company. I tell people to create what I call a benefit plus credibility headline. So in the headline, state what you're going to do for them, okay? Because everybody who looks at your profile wants to know what's in it for me. So your headline should state, I will bring in, you know, more sales, you know, than you can handle, or I will, you know, create graphic designs for you that bring in the business. Some type of benefit for the company. And I know a lot of people aren't used to tooting their own horn, but you have to toot your own horn. You have to say what you're going to do for a company in your profile for them to be interested in reading your profile.
Well, and to piggyback off that, one of the most important things about the headline and making it so hard-hitting is that sometimes that's the only thing a person will see. When they're doing a LinkedIn search and they are searching and they've got, you know, 2,000 hits in their return, and they hit on your profile and they're not connected to you in any way, they'll see your picture and your headline,
Right.
and they may not see anything else. And so the only thing that they have to go on to decide whether they want to investigate further, if they want to know you, is that headline. So if it says, I'm the CEO, well, okay, great, of what? And what do you do? What do you do for me? Again, like you said, make it, what is that person going to do for me, so that they know, I want to click, I want to find out about that person.
Definitely.
And it's letting people know you're looking. Put that in your headline. Like you mentioned, CEO. I've worked for people who, you know, are doing consulting in the meantime while they're looking for work, and they'll put in their headline, CEO of XYZ consulting company. And I'll say to them, but why is anybody going to stop and read your profile or hire you if they think you've already got a job? So you've got to tell people you're looking in your headline.
Definitely. And I mean, if a CEO is looking at your LinkedIn profile and they see that you have a great headline, that's great. And you know, you want those connections to happen because you've got a great profile and you've got great success on LinkedIn. So going forward with that, how would people use LinkedIn to network? Julie, let's start with you.
Well, when you use it to network, or at least when I use it to network, the thing is LinkedIn is not a passive strategy. If you want to network, you got to get out there and you got to find the people. And LinkedIn makes it very easy because it is a brilliant search engine, and it really lays out the information and allows you to access it in such a useful way. So in my other business, if I want to find property managers because I want to connect with them and offer my services to them, then I can go on LinkedIn and I can find them and start connecting with them. And rather than in your traditional setting where you're doing face-to-face networking and you walk into a room full of people and you have no idea who does what, LinkedIn, you just pull up all of the people in the category that you're looking for. As a job seeker, I would look maybe in a company that I want to work for, look for my peers and start making connections with them. And that's how I would, probably my first blush at networking on LinkedIn would work.
Definitely.
And I want to bring up the importance of groups, because there's millions of groups on LinkedIn. And so your hiring manager has what I call self-selected themselves. They are in a group with their peers. So if you're looking for a job in HR, for example, you'd want to join a ton of HR groups. And in each group, there's a members tab that you can click on and you can see who's in that group. And so if you're a director of marketing and you know that you need to be hired by a VP of marketing, you would join a bunch of HR groups and then you'd click on the members tab, and then you could just go through the list and look at all your potential hiring managers and use the groups to network as well.
And you can connect with them right from that members tab in the groups right now, which is another excellent way of building your network.
Definitely. Yeah, and I like, I know that I've connected with people that are in industries that I like, or similar industries, companies that I like, just to kind of, you know, see what the company is like, what the work environment is like. So that's a great way to even get an inside view on if it's someplace that you want to work. So maybe you have a certain idea of, you know, I want to work for this company, but then you find out from that person, well, maybe I'm not such a good fit for that company culture. So that's a great way too. You can also do employer research too on LinkedIn, right? Because they have the company pages.
Right. There's millions of company pages, And it's wonderful. If there's a company you want to work for, you go to their LinkedIn company page, you're going to see their write-up. You're going to see all their press releases, because they put those in as updates, so you know exactly what's happening at the company. You see a list of everybody you're connected to in that company, so you can start clicking on names and setting up informational interviews. So it's an amazing resource.
Definitely. And I know with me doing Tampa Bay Workforce Alliance and WorkNet's company pages on LinkedIn, I mean, we're constantly putting updates about what's going on and, you know, things to keep in mind about the company. So it's great ways to find out, like you said, what is going on, what's current with the company. So that's a great, great resource to use. So kind of switching gears, we had mentioned both Twitter and Facebook as also being great for job seekers. Let's talk about Twitter, because there's a lot of ways that you can use Twitter to search for a job. Julie, do you have some tips about using Twitter?
Well, Twitter is a wonderful search engine as well. And if you put in the hashtag job search, that is going to give you a lot of information from people that want to tell you great tips about job searching to companies that are hiring. And there are actually some actual accounts where people will go out there and every new job that they hear about, they'll put out there a link to that very listing. So there are lots of great ways to listen on Twitter and find out about job opportunities.
Definitely.
And another thing is, you know, this is all great technology, but at the end of the day, it still comes down to people. And people have their own Twitter accounts, so if you know somebody you'd love to work with or work for, you should follow them on Twitter. Read their tweets. What are they talking about? And then you could start a dialogue on Twitter directly with that person. Then you just tweet them and say, hey, I loved that tweet that you put out about that interesting thing, or retweet them, which is just simply taking what they've said and sending it to your network, which creates some social commerce for you and some social credibility for you. So it's a great way to find people you want to work with and work for.
And then I also think it's nice because once you start following people or companies that you're interested in, you can kind of get an idea of what they're tweeting about, what their followers are retweeting, and it can, in a sense, help you figure out maybe what content, what messages you want to send as well, because you know, it's great if you're retweeting, but isn't it amazing once those companies or those people retweet what you've said? Right. So it's also a great way to use that and earn some credibility in your industry there as well.
Yeah, if you can engage with the thought leaders in your industry, I mean, that's really huge. And it's great to get in those discussions and tweet chats, you know, with people in the industry that are leading it, and they want you there. They want you to retweet their stuff. They want you to tweet back to them. They wouldn't put those tweets out there if they didn't. So it's a missed opportunity if you ignore it.
Yeah, and I'm constantly amazed by the fact that thought leaders will write back to you on Twitter. It's this instant communication that you can have with anybody. And so find people that you want to work with or work for, and you'll be surprised. If you tweet them, they'll tweet right back because it's this instant tie to people you want to meet.
Definitely. And Julie, like you mentioned, I mean, there are certain groups or different Twitter groups that you can follow that you can find out current job information or the jobs that are available. Like Tweet My Jobs is a good one. And I also found out that a lot of those are using this, I don't know that it's necessarily new, but it's somewhat new for me, is the Twitter resume or the Twesume. And so these Twitter handles will actually go out and search for the Twesumes and they'll retweet them, and so it's a new way to get yourself out there for 140 characters, and you know, you have to use the hashtag Twesume, but that's also another great way, and it's something that's new, and I don't know that a lot of people know about it, so you're competing with less people in the job market. And
when you do something like that, it's key that your bio, when someone goes back to your bio, really sums you up and it has a link to somewhere else. Maybe, you know, you have the opportunity when you do your Twitter bio to give a link to a website if you have one, but to your LinkedIn profile if you don't. So it may seem like you're limited. I have only 140 characters, but really less than that because I've got to put this hashtag in there. But as long as it's compelling enough to get somebody in your industry to click on it and click back to your profile, your bio, then you can lead them further in and get more information about you there. And one thing I would caution about Twitter is it is a lot of fun, and you can really do a lot with Twitter. You could probably find some really tremendous success there, but you have to really work it. So if Twitter is not for you, I wouldn't even go down that road, because it does take a lot of work. It is a lot of fun. There are a lot of opportunities, but if you show up and you have one tweet on your page and you get somebody to click back there and they see you have one tweet and it was from actually 2 months ago, it's not going to do you much good. You're not going to look very good. You're going to disappoint that Twitter person that, went all in on you.
Yeah. Keeping updating with your social media is definitely, if you're going to invest the time and the energy to do this, obviously you want to do it well, and that's part of that, is making sure that you're tweeting or you're updating your status on a regular basis, whatever that may be to you, but definitely that's very important.
Especially in LinkedIn as well, because if you do the updates, then people know that they get the idea that your profile is probably current because you're in LinkedIn a lot. But if you don't, then...
And if you do a status update, people will see it and they'll click back to your profile, which goes back to what we were saying about having your image really well set.
Yeah,
definitely. And I know it's good to point out too, while we're talking about, it takes time and energy, which some people might, not be willing to invest. It's also just as important to make sure that all of your profiles and all of your status updates, especially for Twitter and Facebook, since some of them can be more personal as opposed to work-related, that everything shows you in the absolute best light. You don't want to be venting on these social media channels if you're going to be using them for your job search, right?
Right. You want to keep politics and religion and anything hot topics sort of out of the way. You don't want to offend anybody. You want to be very professional. When people look at your LinkedIn or your Twitter or your Facebook, they get this complete picture of you. And some companies now don't even look at resumes. They just look at your social media footprint. And so it's got to be consistent, and it's got to present you in a great light.
Definitely. And going on with that, I think Facebook is probably the social media site that you could probably have the least, or I guess what you put on Facebook could probably show you in not necessarily the worst light, but it might not be the one that you would use in a professional way. But it definitely can be, right, Julie?
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of success with people networking for careers on Facebook, because it's not so much what you know, it's who you know. So it's your network that's going to get you hired. And a lot of times, if you just put out there into your Facebook community that, listen, I'm looking for a job and I'm looking for something like this, who's out there that knows, chances are good that you've made a lot of industry connections as friends. In the military, which is my background, I have probably 2/3 of my Facebook friends are from that. So if I were looking for a career in that industry, then I only have to reach out and say, hey guys, where are you guys working now in your post-military careers? And I've seen it happen. My own husband got a job interview based on a Facebook connection of ours.
Yeah, so it definitely can happen.
Absolutely.
And Facebook has a lot of really useful tools that like LinkedIn has. They have the jobs or the marketplace that you can use. They have groups, and so I think it's important to take advantage of those things, especially if you're on Facebook and maybe you're not so interested in creating a LinkedIn, even though you probably should, account or a Twitter account. But if Facebook is the one social website that you want to use, then obviously if you show yourself in a really good light, then it does have those things that you can use, the groups and the jobs and the marketplace, to look for jobs.
Right, because there's over 1 billion people on Facebook, and so chances are, like Julie says, you're going to find somebody who knows of something going on that's going to help you. And so you should spend your time reaching out to people on Facebook and asking them if they know of anything that's going on. Can they help you?
And I've posted on our social media before some of the things that you probably shouldn't post or shouldn't have on your social media sites, like pictures that aren't very becoming of you. You know, if you go to a party on the weekend, then that's fine. But if people are going to tag you in those pictures and they are not pictures that you want to be tagged in, then obviously go and untag yourself, things like that. So what are some of the social media don'ts, if you will?
Well, definitely the picture is a big one. Be careful what kind of tirades you start, especially about politics, because it's such a polarizing subject.
And don't talk bad about your former employer. And don't talk bad. I mean, try just not to talk bad about anybody. I mean, there's an old Dale Carnegie quote, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. And so I would apply that to social media. You know, try to keep it positive.
Yeah, because obviously if you go in for an interview and, you know, if you don't have your privacy settings set to where only a certain number or only a certain person can see your profiles and it's set that everyone can, a potential employer could go in and see that you're kind of a negative person, and once you go into the interview, you know, well, why did you say this about your last job? You know, obviously you didn't like it that much, and then you kind of have to use the rest of the interview to backtrack and make sure that they know that, you know, you're a great candidate and you love what you do. So
yeah, I think if you're on the job hunt, it is really worth your while. Maybe you're creating profiles, that's great, and going forward you're going to do everything right, but it might be a good idea for those social media profiles that you have already created to go back and scrub them. Facebook does allow you to delete posts that you've made, and you know, there's a little opportunity to go back there and clean things up if you maybe haven't been as discreet as you should have been in the past. You can always set your privacy settings to very private on things like Facebook and Twitter. Obviously with LinkedIn, as we were talking about earlier, you want to have your LinkedIn profile out there for people to see and keep that one professional. But on your personal ones, you might want to clean them up.
Definitely. And I know there's actually, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there actually is a website out there, and it's free, but it'll actually go through your social media profiles and tell you what posts or what tweets you sent out that have negative words or have posts about information that you probably shouldn't. So it'll actually tell you, hey, you might want to go back and delete this post. So I don't know what it's called, but that's something to keep in mind too.
Yeah.
And it just shows you kind of how much social media has taken over, and you know that they have those sites now that will tell you basically what you should take off your profile. And
That's great, because you know, we say the internet is forever. And it never goes away, so you should use some of these tools to try to get stuff off that is really hurting you, if you can.
Definitely. And kind of going back to LinkedIn, it just reminded me of something. When I sat in on one of the WorkNet Pinellas LinkedIn training classes, something that I actually wasn't aware of, which I'm a little embarrassed to admit, but you can actually turn off your activity.
Right.
So when you're updating your status, especially if you've just gotten an account on LinkedIn, or if it's been a while and you haven't really been updating it and now you want to go back and spruce it up, you can turn off your activity feed.
Right.
So that's wonderful.
There are other great reasons to do that as well. Let's say you're currently in a job, but you're looking for something else, and you're updating your profile, and you can use that job section to really, you don't have to encapsulate everything under one job title. You can create multiple job titles to kind of show the different hats that you wore perhaps in a position. And when doing so, if you create a new position for yourself and then describe your duties, it's going to tell everybody, hey, congratulate so-and-so on the new job that they just had. Well, then that might alert your peers or your bosses. What is this new job that they've got? You know, so that might create some embarrassment and get them wondering, well, why are you messing with your profile? So it is a good idea to go into your settings, turn off your activity broadcast feed for the duration that you're making massive overhauls. But remember to turn it back on again, because when little things happen that are important that you want everybody to know about, you want those to go out.
Right, because sometimes when I'm consulting with somebody and we'll set up a group for them because we want to get keywords into their current job title or something like that, we'll definitely turn off their activity broadcast, because we don't want to broadcast that out, especially if they're currently working.
Definitely. Yeah, because it's very useful, like you said, if you know you're fixing up your profile, but always remember to turn it back on. And then another useful thing that I think it's new on LinkedIn is the having the capabilities to add either a video or a document right under each job.
Right.
Which I've taken
For the
advantage of.
summary and for each job, LinkedIn has added what they call a little media box. And it's just a little square with a plus sign. And when you're in edit profile mode, you can add a hyperlink to your summary or to any jobs. So that could go out to YouTube, could go out to a website that you created, so that you can make your profile multimedia now.
And it's actually a really attractive look too, because they're kind of a big box. So
Right.
if you have things on there, you know, and employers are looking or recruiters are looking at your profile, they're going to see all the bullet points that you have underneath each job title, but then they're going to see these really pretty big boxes of, you know, a video or something.
It really breaks it up and makes it much more visually appealing. And that's something that they've really done over the past, 6 months? They've really made it much more visually appealing and graphic, because before it was just LinkedIn was sorry LinkedIn, it was kind of boring, you know, it was just this white page with a bunch of words, a few headings. Now you've got pictures and graphics, you can put slideshows, all kinds of good stuff on there. And it is nice that they break it up where it's now used to be kind of relegated into just one little box that you could put it in. Now you can filter it throughout your profile.
So we've talked about a lot of stuff today. We've talked about LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, the do's and don'ts of all of those. And I'm sure, like we've said at the beginning of the show, it can be overwhelming for someone who hasn't gotten really into social media or used it for their job search. So what would be the key points, I guess, to take away from today's discussion? And Julie, I'll start with you.
Keep it professional. Don't create a new social media profile just for the sake of creating a new social media profile. Only do those that you intend to maintain. Like I mentioned, don't start up a Twitter account if you don't intend to use it. It doesn't look good. So, but definitely keep it simple and keep it professional.
And I would say fill out your LinkedIn profile 100%, and then go out and start talking to hiring managers, and also talk to what we call internal champions, which are people working at companies where you'd like to work and create a relationship with them. And so use it to start talking to people on LinkedIn, working at companies where you want to work, and start the relationship.
Definitely. And I think it's also nice to point out, job seekers, if you're looking to get some training, we do have classes at both Tampa Bay Workforce Alliance and WorkNet Pinellas that will teach you about using social media. I know the one in Tampa Bay Workforce Alliance does cover LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, things like that as well. The WorkNet Pinellas one covers more LinkedIn training, but things like that are very useful. So if you haven't got a really big background in using social media, then going to a class like that is going to benefit you so much.
Yes.
But thank you both so much for contributing to today's episode. I'm sure our job seekers learned a lot. That's all the time we have. My name is Katie Leahy. Again, I work for Tampa Bay Workforce Alliance. I hope this has been a benefit to all of you, and we'll see you later.
The Tampa Bay Workforce Alliance and WorkNet Pinellas offer workforce solutions designed to improve your business.
I've really valued my relationship with WorkNet Pinellas and have been instrumental in keeping us informed with new educational trends.
We've really seen our employees grow in their own personal development. It has not only exceeded Power Design's expectations, but our employees' expectations as well.
To learn more about our no-cost programs and services,